Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You may be seated. This has been an exciting and an eventful week in my house, and I imagine it has for many of your homes as well. Last Monday, I guess that was Labor Day time, I had come back from a trip away. I'd been away on sabbatical. In fact, the sabbatical was so effective. This is my first time wearing a jacket and tie in 3 months. And we came back from getting our daughter, Evie, off to her junior year at Emory University. She's now living off campus in her own apartment. And for those who've been through that milestone, you know what a surreal moment it is. Furniture that needs to be purchased and art that needs to be hung and all that goes with it. And then when we came back, we had about 2.5 to 3 days to get our youngest of our two children, our son Elias, who graduated high school in June, off to what will be his first year of college, a gap year in Israel. He left on Wednesday night, and it has been a painful and devastating blow to me and to my wife, perhaps expected or unexpected, because our large home just became a lot larger and a lot emptier and a lot quieter. And it's a rite of passage that you can prepare for, but it is bittersweet. Sweet in that this is the way it should be, but bitter in that this is a sad part when you see that piece go away. And just a little service announcements related to that is that sadly we had, I'm fine, but my wife had a little health issue last night that we didn't plan on, and spent our evening at Inglewood Hospital. She is on the road to recovery and doing much, much better, thank God. But we came home from Inglewood Hospital about 7 in the morning, and I got a good solid hour of sleep. And more importantly is it caused me to be obviously late today. And it's going to cause me to leave services before we end, and I apologize for that, but I also thank all of you for understanding. She's going to be just fine, thank God, and thank God for all the doctors there. What's most important about, these send-offs for me that I find so interesting is this new phenomenon, perhaps you've seen it, of what I'm calling the room fit check. So this happened when we put our daughter in her first dorm room, and it happened also for our son, who was FaceTiming us from Israel and wanted to show us, here's the banner of Syracuse, where I'm going to go to school after this gap year. I set up all of my linens, and here's where I put things in my closet, and this is where I put my stuffed animal pillow that brings me good, all of those things. And our daughter, same thing. You put the bed together and the bed frame and the picture and the desk and the makeup and all that. But you have to do what is required of all of these first years, second years, third years. You have to take a picture. And then you have to put that picture on social media. You can't just say, my child is going off to the University of Wisconsin. My child's going off to Cornell. My child's going off to Rutgers. You got to take a picture of them in this room that is decorated in a way that never was intended for a dorm room to be decorated, and then share it with the world. Willie Geist, who is one of the anchors on NBC, was talking about how he sent his first child off to Vanderbilt a couple weeks ago, and that there were some kids at Vanderbilt that had electricians come and change the lighting so they could have their own chandeliers, and that there is this new press-on, peel-off wallpaper that they put up as well so that the room can be wallpapered. It's interesting. I don't think it's limited to college. We take pictures, and this has inundated social media this past week in particular, of our kids' first day. It's a nice rite of passage. In our day, we used to maybe take the picture, and then 3 weeks later, after we got it back from the photomat, we would send it to grandparents if it came out. But that first picture of that first day, whether it's the first day of kindergarten or third grade or ninth grade, the kid is always standing with a new outfit, a new backpack. In my day, it was a new trapper keeper and a new tin lunchbox. I remember like in 4th grade, I got a different strokes lunchbox, and I couldn't wait to eat lunch with a picture of Arnold Jackson Drummond on the outside of it. Like, these were the rites of passage. And a fresh haircut. Everyone had a fresh haircut, and they looked clean and good. And this meant you're ready to start your year. You're ready to go off and to get them. And if you have a chandelier, or if you have wallpaper, or you have a special comforter, or you have the right banner, or whatever it is, you are signaling to the world you're ready to start your studies, whether it be at Emory, or whether it be in a gap year, or whether it be at Syracuse, or Cornell, or all of these other places. And when you're standing with that new backpack and fresh haircut and that clean polo shirt, you're saying, I'm ready to start 4th grade. But the fantastic irony for me is that all of those things that we create that facade for has very little import into what we hope our kids glean from their experience in school, whether it be elementary, middle, high, college, or graduate school. My son, Elias, called us when he landed safely in Israel and was telling us all about some of the kids he met on the program. And he said he's on a program with about 150 other kids from all over North America, some even from the UK. And he said there's one person on the trip that has special needs. And my wife and I had the same response, which was, well, you went to school with kids with special needs all through school. You know exactly how to handle this. He said, yeah, I helped him with his luggage. And I thought to myself, this is not to show off about what my son did right. I'm sure other kids helped just the same. I don't care what kind of education my kid gets. If he knows to help someone with special needs with luggage, or he knows that if a group is going out and he says, you come with us because otherwise they'll be excluded, well, then he is receiving the greatest education possible. In the portion that we read today of Ki Tetzei, there is this moral code that's given to us. There's the part that I spoke to Grayson about Shiluach HaKain, the shooing away of the mother bird. There is the idea that we put a guardrail around our roofs so that people who might come up on it should never fall. And it can be used as a metaphor also that we don't have environments that people can trip over or fall into traps with. That it reminds us of how we're supposed to treat others, about when we're in relationship and who's permitted to us and forbidden to us when we're in relationship. It tells us about an unruly child and their relationship with parents. And it tells us how we're supposed to behave one to the next. It doesn't say anything in Parshat Ki Tetzei, not a single syllable, about chandeliers or wallpaper. It doesn't have one piece that hints at what kind of comforter or duvet you need to put up. And it doesn't talk about what backpack or trapper keeper you're going to display when you share with the world how you're ready to go out and make an impact, be a part of difference. And while there are kids who are going to Vanderbilt, kids that are going on gap years, kids that are going to 7th grade and 10th grade, who I know are making the world a better place. What I worry about is that we're not creating a system of promoting virtues that shows that off. Could you imagine if in place of the duvet cover and the chandelier and the wallpaper, we showed pictures of our kids making new friends, including people who would otherwise be excluded, of creating these places where others felt welcome, of demonstrating tolerance and patience and curiosity? If there was a way to promote that notion, which we know they're going to get, but we don't put it first or second in line. And the Torah is telling us that that matters. You know, in America, our calendar, for the most part, runs in consonance with an academic calendar. And that means that whether our kids are grown and in school or not, the system of summers closing and starting and how we dial in really jives perfectly with schools. And as we begin this process of school, and it tells us specifically in the Parsha, Ki Tetzei, when you go out, when you begin, which is a prescription for the Israelite people about when they either go into war or they're leaving the country that they're sojourning in, or whatever that is, what God wants to tell them is not what they should wear and not the accoutrements that should accompany them, but the way they should behave that will represent them today and us tomorrow. That is what is paramount. And for whatever reason, we can point to 50 of them. And it's bipartisan, and it transcends the state of Israel, and it works for all of us. We have become askew as to what that moral code looks like and the ways in which we can involve and incorporate and imbibe that moral code for when our children go out into this world in 3rd grade or in 15th grade. I pray that as we begin this new academic year in our country, and as we begin the process of a new Jewish New Year, which will start in just over 2 weeks, and as so many are looking back in the last few days over those first day pictures, that we look beyond the fresh haircut, the new backpack, the clean shirt, the duvet, and the chandelier, and we ask the question of those who were involved: what difference did you make in the world today? How did you create an impact? What morality and value set and ethos have you demonstrated that brings us all up higher and that is equally contagious? And when we do that, then we're not only doing something that will stir our heart and cause us all to reach a little higher and be a little better, but we're equally following the commandment that represents the timeless and genius nature of what Torah is, how Torah works, and the evergreen lesson that it gives us in Ki Tetzei and forevermore. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.